insurance and financial issues in trucking. Well, joining us today to speak about that, Mike Dorfman, COO and co-founder of Koffie Financial. Mike, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Thanks, Russell. Great to be here.
Mike, I think it's probably fair to say the top of mind right now for just about everybody is inflation. And I would imagine that that's something that small and medium-sized fleets are concerned about as well. So I guess the question to you is this: are they feeling an inflationary crunch right now, and what are they doing about it? What do you say?
Yeah, certainly, Russell. Fleets are seeing increases in fuel prices, which have skyrocketed over the past couple of years, really. Maintenance costs are up, labor costs are up, insurance costs are up. It's already a really margin-sensitive business, and they're really feeling the squeeze from every angle. From our perspective, using technology is a great way to mitigate some of the inflationary increases. There's lots of technology to find the best fuel rates, find credit facilities, factoring freight, retaining drivers, using safety technology for increased fuel efficiency, reducing idle time. But it's tough out there right now.
You paint a dire picture, I must say, because all of those pressures are there, they're real, and they are biting, no doubt about it. Let's delve just a tiny bit more into those technologies, if we might. If I'm going to survive in a climate like this, if I'm a fleet and I'm feeling all of this, what technologies do I need to zero in on?
Yeah, I would say that monitoring your fleet on a real-time basis is A1 priority. So actually knowing how many miles your drivers are running, where they're going, when they're fueling up, those things are really critical. Route planning can be critical as well, making sure you're optimizing hours of service. So a telematic system, cameras, and back office software, kind of getting off of pen and paper can be really critical to increase profit margins.
I want to turn more specifically to insurance itself. So here we are in 2023. It's like issues that I need to be aware of if I'm a fleet operator, issues that I need to be concerned about in trucking insurance. Where is that going? How is it helping me? Just walk me through that whole area. What would you say?
Yeah, I think insurance has been, pain point number one for trucking companies for over a decade now. It's typically the third largest expense after fuel and labor for the small and medium businesses. And, it's more critical now than ever to try to control those insurance costs from skyrocketing year over year. And, for us, I think that means, proactively having safety programs, having driver retention programs, making sure that you've got stability to the business can really help kind of mitigate those insurance costs.
Well, that's the kind of thing that I need for you to tell me, because I'm feeling these things. So I need somebody to walk me through this, give me a laundry list of things I need to watch out for, and then tell me how I go about dealing with that. So let's drill down into that just a bit more. Let's talk about that insurance landscape. What do you say?
Yeah, sure. So I would say number one, nuclear verdicts are plaguing the industry. So any way that you can prevent a nuclear verdict from happening to your trucking company is going to keep you in business, going to keep you profitable, going to keep your insurance rates down. Best ways to do that: number one, telematic systems. Number two, dash cams in the trucks. I know sometimes that can be unpopular. There's privacy concerns there. But really, using cameras to your advantage to defend yourself in the case of a crash is mission critical at this point.
Mike, I think it's fair to say that all small and medium-sized businesses are feeling the kind of pressures that we've been talking about. They're feeling that bite. So I guess the question to you would be, what specifically are the technologies that they might be interested in if they're going to navigate that area successfully? So walk us through that. What would you say?
Yeah, so I think for the small and medium-sized fleets that are traditionally slower to adopt technology, it's really critical to keep your insurance costs down, to prevent nuclear verdicts. So a couple of things that are top of mind: telematic systems, so you can keep a real-time kind of view on where your trucks are, where your drivers are at, optimize hours of service, optimize route planning, really understand the harsh driving behaviors that might need to be coached of your drivers that are out on the road. Dash cams hand in hand with that. It's a little bit unpopular with some fleets out there. There's privacy concerns with truck drivers, obviously, but these cameras are really used to defend the truck drivers in case of a crash, prevent nuclear verdicts, and alongside that is the compliance piece. So getting off of pen and paper, getting back office compliance software can really be beneficial in bringing visibility again to your operations. If you do end up in a crash, you've got all your files, all your ducks in a row that can really show that you're a buttoned up operation, and it's not a negligent case, that sometimes the trucking companies get penalized for.
It's interesting that you talk about dash cams and the privacy concerns. We talk about privacy concerns of humans, but that leads to another question. That would be the interest that we see in autonomous trucks, where of course they're not driven by a human. I guess my question to you is insurance implications of that type of technology, of autonomous trucking. Walk us through that minefield. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's going to be a really big shift, Russell. I think that, right now the fleets are purchasing the insurance, protecting their own business, protecting the drivers that operate for them. As we see more autonomous technologies adopted and put into trucks and put on public roads, there's going to be a shift in the liability. So if you can imagine, a truck from 25 years ago with no technology on board, the driver was essentially 100% responsible for the risk of that truck getting into a crash. Now that we have things like electronic stability control, automatic emergency braking, other semi-autonomous features, that liability risk is already shifting to the manufacturers, to the tier ones, anyone putting software or hardware on a truck. And as we get more and more autonomous, that's going to further shift kind of away from the human driver. So it's going to be a really messy, chaotic middle ground, I think, where we have humans taking on some of the risk, the technology providers taking on some of the risk, whether that's hardware or software. And we're going to have to kind of figure out when the liability is on what party.
Messy, chaotic, and very, very interesting. Final question, Mike. Anybody who is not entirely familiar with Koffie Financial, just what it's all about, if you would take a moment, just tell us something about the company, what it does specifically, how it's helping its customers. What would you say?
Sure. We are Koffie Financial is a fully digital insurance company for small and medium-sized trucking companies out there with vertically integrated financial services. So, insurance is our core business, really building a national brand for the SMB truckers out there, but also layering on other financial services. So we just launched a credit card product, which is the first ever credit card specifically built for this segment, and we'll continue to build kind of vertically integrated financial services, taking kind of a holistic view to risk mitigation and helping our fleets, improve their bottom line, aligning ourselves kind of with our actual customers.
Well, fascinating look into a really, really important area. Mike, thank you so very much for this information. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Russell, for having me.
It's Mike Dorfman, Koffie Financial, speaking with us today about insurance and other financial issues in trucking. Thanks for watching.